is Sam Felton and welcome to Full Fat Fridays here on Smash the Fat. That's right, we cook with full fat food because we believe that real food that is full fat is the best way to go. So today I'm going to be cooking a low carb lamb lasagna. Now this is kind of basically a Greek or Turkish moussaka, just without the potatoes. So what you will need, first things first, you'll need a deep dish to cook the actual lasagna in, along with a load of mozzarella, some ricotta cheese as well, 2 frying pans with butter ready to rock, 1 large aubergine, a handful of cherry tomatoes sliced, a large onion diced, then 500 grams of minced or ground lamb, and finally a bunch of spinach as well. And before we get into the cooking right now, we're going to turn on the oven, get it preheated. So from here, I'm going to be putting it up to 200 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And whilst that's preheating, you're going to get on with cooking the actual bolognese that you're going to be putting into the lasagna when it goes inside the oven. So let's head on over to close-up cam. So as you can see here, guys, you've got the 2 frying pans. We're going to turn both on about a medium heat and just wait for that butter to melt. And what we're going to be doing here is that we're going to be cooking the bolognese in this one. As you can see, the butter's almost getting there, and then we're going to fry the aubergine here, which we're going to be using for our lasagna sheets. And you just need to fry them briefly just to ease how it's going to cook in the actual oven. So whilst the rest of that butter in this frying pan is melting, I'm going to place these aubergine slices right here, because we're going to have to do a couple of batches of this. And then the first thing you put in for the bolognese is the onions and tomatoes. Make sure you get all the onion out there. And the tomatoes, boom down. Cool. And we're going to start cranking that heat up on this one particularly. We can put the aubergine on a slightly lower heat because they're going to take less time, but we want to try and get the onions and tomatoes sweating as quickly as possible. And as soon as those are cooked, then we're going to put in the mince. So I'm going to cover this up in the meantime. So as you can see here with the aubergine now, right here it's starting to brown a little bit, and that's when the cut-off point is, because it is going to cook a little bit in the oven. We don't want it to get too heated because we still want some tension in there. So I'm going to swap these over, turn that gas right down for now. I'm going to place these on a plate, which is off camera for the moment. And put some more butter in the pan. Almost melted instantly because the pan is hot. And chuck the rest of the aubergine on and try and slice them about ½ centimetre, or maybe about 1/4 of an inch thick. You work in inches. So, as you can see here, that's almost sweated out and it's starting to become somewhat of a sauce. And I like to mush it all up as much as I can, trying to get all of the juice out of the tomatoes so you create a natural sauce. Nice and easy, there you go. See that? Starting to look good. And what I do is I put that all to the side, and then we're going to chuck in the lamb mince. So I just whack it right in the middle, nice and easy. And that's what this recipe is all about. Being nice and easy, but also being able to make lots in one go. This will be about 4 portions in total. So you could cook this for 4 people, nice little dinner party with your friends, family, whoever you're inviting round. President of France, whoever, I don't know. Anyway, so obviously chop this up as much as you can with your spatula. Chopping it up again. And I'm going to wait for that to cook. Like so. And focus a bit more on the aubergine now. So I'm going to turn these bad boys over. Alright, that means that the oven is preheated. See that? It's all about trying to minimise the amount of time that you actually have to cook. Getting it in the oven as quickly as possible. So then you can go do something else. Let's see how this bolognese is getting on. So you can see it's getting there. So now that the meat is starting to brown, I'm going to really mix it up. I've got to say, lamb is probably one of my favourite meats. It's got a very distinct taste. Not everybody likes it. It's certainly one of my favourite. Okay, so that's pretty much there now in terms of the cooking. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the spinach, plate full of spinach, just dump it on top. Quite simple. Make sure it's all in the pan. Chuck a lid on top and let it wilt. And we're going to go back to focusing on the aubergine here, which looks like it's pretty much done. Super hot! Let's see what's going on here. See, look at that. 30 seconds and that's pretty much all wilted. And as soon as you start stirring it into the actual bolognese itself, then it wilts even more, even quicker. Really simple. Alright. So once that's all mixed up, then we turn down the heat onto a low heat to let it simmer. I like to make rhythms with the pans, I don't know why. Makes things more fun. Alright, so I'd say the aubergine is done now. What I'm going to do, place that aubergine on the plate with the others. Come on. So what we're going to do now is grab the deep dish that you've got, like so, and then you're literally going to do 2 layers worth. So try and strain the bolognese somewhat, because you don't want it to be too saucy, because otherwise it becomes too loose. So that's why it's a benefit to have the holes in the spatula. Try and push it together as much as you can. And try and look at make sure that you check that it's half of what you've made here. And put that back over here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to place half of the aubergine. Whoa. You can use forks and things like that. I just like to get my hands in there because I'm that type of guy. Just lick my fingers and go through the pain. Alright. Cool. I'm going to have to rearrange this a little bit. So because it's just a mid layer, you don't have to get it absolutely perfect. But what you do want to do is that you want to put on the ricotta cheese. So see here, it's a case of taking a spoonful of that, and then you're going to start spreading it over the aubergine. Doesn't have to be super thick on this layer, it's a lower layer, yeah. Like that vibration. So you're literally using the spoon as you spoon it on the aubergine there. So that's one layer, and you're going to put the rest on top and try and strain it somewhat. But that's pretty much covered right there. Excellent. You can go to the side, a bit of spinach left in there. Right in the middle. Cool. Placing the rest of the aubergine on top. Spread the rest of the ricotta cheese. Don't have too much in there on top. But the main layer will be the mozzarella cheese. It will really help kind of give it a layer. Again, had that vibration in my voice. There we go. And also this will melt into the actual meat and everything. Alright, and final bit before we put it in the oven, the mozzarella. And now we're ready to put it in the oven. So that's not hot from the hobs. So it's going to go in the top shelf for 15 minutes to begin with. And it can be different for every single oven. But put it in for 15 minutes to begin with, and then kind of check it if it's not done by then every 5 minutes. And then, you know, take it from there basically. So let's skip to 15 minutes time and we'll see how this lasagna is getting on. Alright guys, so it's actually been 20 minutes since I put in the lasagna. 15 minutes to initially see how it went, and I had to put it in for an initial 5 minutes. So it ended up being a 20-minute low-carb lamb lasagna. So let's look at the finished product. Not exactly one we made earlier, but that's a Blue Peter phrase for anybody outside of the UK. Blue Peter is a kids program. Alright, there we go. So, that looks absolutely gorgeous to me. I'm going to bring you in a bit closer here. So let's go right here. And as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to put a bit of a knife in. As you get that crunch, you got the ricotta cheese there. And you got 2 layers of meat along with some aubergine as well. Absolutely gorgeous. So, I mean, it's really quite simple, really. It's putting together some bolognese and some aubergine sheets in between, and if I just putting it in the oven for about 20 minutes, and Bob's your uncle. That'll serve about 4 portions there, for 4 adults. That is, if you've got kids, then maybe more like 5 or 6. Depending on how much your kids eat. But that's it basically. If you have any questions on that at all, hit me up in the comments section below or on Twitter at Sam Feltham. If you get around to making it as well, or if you've got any improvements upon that recipe, then make sure that you put them down below and let me know on Twitter. And otherwise guys, be well, and of course, eat the fat.